Have you ever been amazed by the talented skills VTubers have? Maybe you're allured by their charming and unique personalities. Or you came across them one day and was amazed by their beautiful designs. But I'm sure we can all agree that it's fascinating to see how these 2D models move. Like, how did they manage to make them so dynamic, especially with all of the little details? How did someone manage to figure out how to add reflections on certain things? Or come up with the transitions to different expressions? I was really curious on how they were made. Come to think of it, don't I have Live2D installed on my laptop? Let me check that real quick. And this is the moment I knew that it's time to write myself a model and learn how this app works. I had actually started drawing this model back in April, but stopped because I was really busy with my final exams and my very first artist alley. I wanted to make something cute and pinky for my VTuber model, and since it's my first time making one without any prior knowledge, I decided to go for a really simple outfit with minimal details. But at the same time, I really wanted to challenge myself, hence I added an off-shoulder cardigan. After finishing the sketch and laying out the base colors, I started off by coloring the details of the eyes. Then I colored in the face base while adding the face shadow and blush on each side of the face. If anyone's wondering how I separated my model, I followed a guide from Merely Wuffei and drew my parts one by one. I also added in the nose and lips, and to be honest, I struggled with the inner mouth, but it turned out just fine in the end. And finally, to finish off drawing her face, I added eyelids, eyebrows before moving onto her hair and neck. I did a general outline for her middle bangs and colored in her neck before I have to stop and face my exams. And now, after 2 months, I have came back and continued on this small project of mine. I wasn't satisfied on how her eyes looked, so I drew them all over again. I changed her eye shape and added in more details and colors to make it prettier. And I really like how I gave her heart-shaped pupils. Then I continued on by shading her hair while trying to figure out the layering and separation process. I imagined her hair to be really soft and fluffy, but this is also the reason why I'm really indecisive on the hair highlights before choosing a style that I am really satisfied with. I also colored in her hairline and side bangs, which completed the look even more. But the rolled cake-shaped side hair makes it even more perfect. Finishing up her front hair, it's time to draw her torso and render the texture alongside coloring. And to give it a softer look, I colored in the lines. But when I started coloring in the hand, I realized that I didn't want a half body model. I wanted to do a full body model. So I started sketching out her lower body and gave her leg warmers, alongside some shoes. Even if I have a full body model, I never actually planned on rigging it fully, so I didn't bother separating the hand parts. After finishing up her hands, I colored in her stomach and her skirt, and also added in some details that you can't really see in the speed paint, but it's definitely there. And up to this point, I didn't really expect that I would have so much fun drawing in a full body model. And now it's only her back hair and her cardigan that's not finished. I quickly put in some color before finally drawing her strawberry beret. And finally, she was ready to be rigged. A quick disclaimer, since I recorded my Live2D process on an old laptop of mine, which accompanied me for 6 years, going through the tough moments of online school and Genshin. So it's past its prime time already, so I'm really sorry for some missing footage that I didn't know my laptop wasn't even recording at that time. And now onto the rigging. I also followed the same tutorial by Live2D, but I also search up for other video materials here on YouTube if I haven't really understood something. The more source materials, the better. After clipping the hidden layers onto the base, like how the iris stays inside of the eye, I made an art mesh for all of my layers. Art meshes are composed of dots and lines that allows you to deform your drawings like this. After that's done, I made the head rotate with a rotation deformer. A rotation deformer allows you to rotate an object on a certain angle based on its center, like this. Make sure you center the deformer as this can affect your result. See these cyan dots here? They are keyframes that marks the object's location like an animation. If you drag them like this, it will smoothly transform your object from one pose to another. And here I'm using a warp deformer. A warp deformer is a deformer for your art mesh. If you want to use physics, use a warp deformer. If you don't, then using an art mesh should be fine. Now I have briefly explained on some of the most used tools. And here's my process of rigging the eyes and the head XY, meaning looking to both sides up and down. I flipped the rig eye to the other side and then cried when rigging the head XY. I had no idea how to insert more files to my model back then, and I regret not watching these two videos sooner. As you can see, I'm currently in the physics settings, which can also be used to test how your model will turn out, or notice some parts that looks out of place. And this is where I regret not drawing the nose line longer, because it's actually needed for a more refined nose when looking to the side. This is so frustrating, but I somehow managed to make it work. On day 2, I started off with rigging the mouth. And turns out I didn't prepare the inner mouth file correctly. Rigging the mouth became a hassle and was very time consuming. So setting up your file correctly is very important. Now it's finally time to add hair physics. I added warp deformers on different parts and added keyframes to make them look like it's swaying left and right and also bouncing up and down. And this is where the physics settings come to play. You can find it by clicking the last option in modeling on the top left. There are a few key parts to this. First, you need to decide on a group. For example, this group is meant for hair physics. There are 2 tabs under the group. One for input settings, where you can insert certain parameters which you want to be affected by the physics. And the other one for output settings, which you can insert the swaying and bouncing parameters that you want to add. For example, with the input settings of angle X and output settings of hair swaying left and right, this means that every time the model moves from left to right, the hair will start swaying according to the movement. To control the effects each physics parameters, the pendulum settings are used. You can change the duration and shaking influence. Don't forget to change the effectiveness in the input settings and the scale in output settings for adjustment. And experiment until the results are to your liking. Live2D used a skinning tool for the back hair. The skinning tool creates small rotation deformers along a line to create that wavy smooth movement. It can be used for the hair and even the upper eyeline. But as you can see, it didn't really work out for me, and the bottom part of the hair was divided into these zigzag lines. So I decided to use my own way of using warp deformers to make the hair move. I also glued in the inner part and outer part of the hair so it looks like it's moving together. Glue is a tool that combines two art meshes together. To make the hair look like it's bouncing, I duplicate it to the other side so that it follows the same movement. Now I'm making some adjustments to the hair and fix some mistakes. I've also added in some breathing keyframes, and now day 2 is done. It's the third day and I'm already pretty familiar with how this works. And I decided to give myself a challenge by rigging the cardigan and body XY all by myself. I wish I had the hand and arm parts separated, cause this made the model look pretty stiff. And not separating the legs made the rigging process even harder. I also made the skirt move based on the model's movements. I was doing pretty fine until something happened. I don't know how to make her hands hide behind her skirt when looking to the side. And this is where draw order comes to play. The draw order lets you play around with layers. Lower numbers hide behind higher numbers. For this case, the arm should have a lower draw number than the skirt. After I have figured this out, I only made small adjustments to the model before finishing up the rigging process. I also combined in day 4 cause I was mainly doing body rigging too, and fixing up her neck so it aligns with her body and head. And finally, my favorite part of rigging came, but unfortunately I lost every single footage of it. It was the part where I was doing her expression toggles. But even though you couldn't see it in here, I will show it during the model showcase, which will start in 3, 2, 1. Enjoy the show! And this is the final result of my model. I definitely need to learn and study more of Live2D. And I know the model looks a bit wonky at the moment, but as a first attempt, I'm pretty proud of it. And I'm Miluku from Milk Latte, and see you in the next video!